Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your hostess with the mostest. It's Pastor Keenan, PKR, the guy that's live and I don't know what else to even say, man. I was really just hyped up there for a second. I was going to say something on this side of the Mississippi, but I'm not really for sure. I'll be honest with you. But I've always got my sidekick, Nick, who's going to always bring me down, at least just a little bit,
so
right?
You're silently judging you're trying to rap over there, whatever it was that
man, I tell you, I've never been real good at freestyle. If you give me about 30 and let me write it down on paper and then like put it to a beat, I'm good with that.
Which is wild considering all of your sermons are improv.
This is true. I will, and that's how you know it's Holy Spirit. It's got to be, man, because all of my sermons are improv, like just literally. I study and I pray and I say, Lord, have your way.
Jesus, take the wheel. Carrie Underwood's it every Sunday.
Every Sunday, every Wednesday. I mean, pretty much it's the way it goes. But I mean, would you...
Kind of like on the podcast every week.
I was going to say, would you want to live any other way? You know what I'm saying?
Other than by the seat of our pants.
Absolutely. By a hope and a prayer and a blessing from the Holy Spirit. You know, that's what it is. So we thank you for tuning in to another episode of People Suck, Love Them Anyways. Thank you so much for hitting that download button, for telling more people about us and all of that good stuff. Nick, are we in any different states or countries this week, or are we still kind of holding tight to where we were at?
Holding pretty tight. We picked up a couple viewers from the Dominican Republic over the last couple of weeks.
So shout out to those people. Hey, listen, if you need anybody to come down and kind of tell you about the American way of living, me and Nick would be more than glad just to come down, hang out with you. You can show us all of the vacation resorts and spots. That would be amazing,
absolutely,
right? Great trade-off.
All expenses paid,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Jesus will pay you back.
I was going to say, I feel it in my spirit right now. Somebody out there is feeling like a free vacation is coming up on. Yeah.
I haven't felt that spirit since I was at Joel Osteen's church.
Oh, man. So funny, so funny. But, thank you guys so much for spreading the gospel around for us, for hitting that download button, and again, for telling more people and about us. So, we're just anxious to get the gospel out there, try to help change people's lives. But, we're trying to go about different ways of doing it as well. We're trying to talk Bible. We're trying to throw some verses in there. We're trying to, just relate it to everyday life, too. Talk about worldly stuff, what's happening, and all that good jazz. So, we're going about this in different ways, and, hopefully you can relate to it just a little bit. And, tonight is no different. We were actually sitting here trying to get a game plan going, and, and Nick was looking at me like, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, man, we're just going to wing this like we do all the time with everything else. That totally freaked him out. He's actually whiter than what he normally is. I think it's kind of made him sick.
The other day.
Yeah, I was going to say
all of that.
I was going to say I think it's made him a little sick thinking about, man, what are we going to talk about? If nothing else, man, we just want to air the episode. I mean, hey, we got that power. You know what I'm saying? We got that power just to hit the stop button and trash it. Right. But man, I tell you what. I mean, what's good in the world to talk about tonight? What do you think? I mean, there's things that there's got to be sticking out in your mind, right?
I know one thing that's kind of stuck out. That's definitely not a right
stuck
word.
Out. I think
stood out. I think that's. I don't know. Anyway, something that stood out to me over the last couple of weeks really has just been. I guess I know this is going to sound cheesy as I'll get out, but having an attitude of gratitude. And it's just like I've wanted to be, I guess,
an attitude
right? I know he's gonna make fun of me for this. For
about
20 minutes,
like where's this at? You got this on Pinterest?
No, I didn't get it on Pinterest. Anyway. Anyway, I want to kind of bring up this whole idea of I feel like we're not. As Christians or, as just human beings, I don't feel like we are thankful enough.
I was going to say, I know where you're going with this now. I remember.
Yeah,
go ahead.
We're getting there. But, I don't think we are thankful enough or we act thankful enough for all the things that we've been given on a normal basis. I think we get so used to the life that we live that we forget that we're blessed to live that life.
Right.
Especially as Christians, and I know the majority of our audience are Christians and At least I would assume so. I'm not really sure about that. But and I think it's just important for us to take a step back. And, you know, you talked about this before about how it's time for Christians to start living blessed or start acting blessed and start, you know, behaving in a way that says, you know, hey, I've been saved by grace. Hey, you know, God has done all these things for me. And, you know, we talked in the last couple of weeks about, you know, how serving God, how giving to God, you know, how the side effect of serving or the side effect of servanthood are blessings. You know, and I think it's just important for us to take a step back and to think about how gracious that we actually are.
Well, what is blessed?
What is blessed?
What is blessed? I mean, that's a good question, man, because
something on a Pinterest board probably.
But think about that, because I think people rate the word blessing and how it relates to their life. I think they relate it differently, because I think it's normal. I think it's become our default to basically gravitate towards our problems, versus finding blessings. And I think we look at it like, if we have battles, then we're not blessed. If we've got struggles, we're not blessed. If we're sick, we're not blessed. If we're whatever, it's
we're
like
not living in a mansion, we're not blessed.
We're not
if we
blessed.
don't have
right?
5 cars, we're not blessed.
Right.
If I'm not going on vacation every year, we're not blessed.
Right. I'm going on vacation every year. I mean, I don't care what you say. I'm going somewhere. Even if I got to drive and just stay in the car, I'm going somewhere. But I think that's it. I think we. If you're going to talk about the word blessing, I think honestly, like, the life that we live, and we're just talking culturally in Hodgenville, Kentucky, the life that we live culturally here, I think it's difficult for people to sometimes say that they are blessed, because like I said, as soon as we just had a service in here Sunday where we didn't have no air, and people were literally fanning and sweat rolling, and and talking about going and buying fans and everything else, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we like it was 78 in here, close to 80, and people were acting like it was like 126 in the Mojave Desert, and they hadn't seen water in 12 days, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we've become so comfortable that we hate to be confronted with situations, because we almost think that comfort is blessing, and it's not. Comfort kills. And I feel like we think that if we are battling something that we're not blessed. But, like literally waking up every morning is a blessing, even though that sounds, pardon my language, but that sounds cliche as hell. I know, but like, that's it. I mean, that's right. I mean, thank you, Lord, for getting me up this morning. Like, it sounds cliche, but we should truly start there.
Yeah, I think we need to try to transform our heart to where that position of praise isn't cliche.
Right.
Where it's not just something that we're saying because we should say, hashtag blessed. Like, that's not what we're trying to do here. Like,
I love how you say it in that Valley Girl voice. Right? Hashtag blessed.
It's just we got to get into this mindset of, I don't have to wake up every morning. I get to wake up every morning. I don't have to go to work every day. I get to go to work every day.
Right.
Like those days that it's hard for us to get over here and do a podcast. We don't have to do the podcast, but we get to do the podcast.
I think that starts, though, with the simple fact of that we have to find and enjoy what we do. I mean, that's it. Like, we talk about jobs, and we talk about churches, and we talk about relationships. Like, I think it's difficult, Nick, because if you just want, we just gonna be real. We always real, but we're always real. But but I mean, like, there's a vast majority of people who don't like themselves. They just don't like themselves at all. I mean, I think there's always things that we could change about ourselves. You say I have body dysmorphia all the time.
Absolutely.
I know you stand behind that 1,000%. But I think there's things that we always want to change about ourselves. But I think that the norm in society today is literally just to reject who you are, and we've talked about that, the identity crisis of what we've got going on in America. And it's not just gender.
I mean, it's not just America.
It's not just America. It's just people in general. They don't know who they are, and they don't. And when they find out kind of who they are, they don't like who they are. And I think it's difficult to have a blessed mindset if you don't even like who you are, right?
Yeah, and if you don't like who you are, maybe pay attention to where you are and who you are with.
It's good. Good statement.
Yeah, which kind of dives into like the whole series that you've been preaching on, here in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
It's like being careful about who you're around, who you're bound to, who you rely on,
or what you're bound to.
Yeah, what you're bound to, where you're bound to.
Absolutely.
All these sorts of different things, because at the end of the day, our identity is a lot based on who we spend our time around, where we spend our time at, what we spend our time doing.
Yeah.
All of those things have such an impact on our identity and who we are. I used to think back to it like when you're a little kid and you go to the movies and then you watch this movie about like Batman, and then you walk out of the theater feeling like Batman.
Yeah.
These things in our society, these people in our lives, they have a stronger influence on us than we like to say or pretend or think that it does. And then, we get so upset about, who we are. I don't know who I am, or we get into the mindset of, oh, I do this, that's just who I am, or that's just because I'm a Scorpio or anything, all these different things that we like
that's
try to blame our
level of people
on,
you
right?
just made mad right there, bro.
I know. But it's important for us to think about that. If you don't like who you are, then you kind of have to. I like the analogy of like pulling that thread, like, oh, this is the problem. I found the problem. This loose thread is hanging right here. I don't like it. So I'm going to pull on it and see where it is that it's loose at. Where does it start at that's loose?
I think it goes back to that confrontation thing. We hate to be confronted with who we are. And, it's just like we hate to be confronted with that because we're so comfortable. And I'll be the first to admit I'm a routine person. I am so routine, man, about everything.
So as a guy who's an hour and a half late tonight.
I know. Well, that's just because my routine was thrown off. That's just it. I mean, but I'm routine about most things. So, if something comes in and makes me uncomfortable, or whatever the situation is, like it's difficult. It kind of it messes with your mindset, and then maybe you feel rushed after that, or maybe you kind of feel off, or the day feels off. But you slowly rebound and you get back to a position of where you feel good. But I think that's just the way in life too. Like you're going to be confronted with some stuff that you're going to have to change, and really, inevitably, change is a part of growth. And I think once you grow, change becomes easier. And that's the thing about it. It's like we just get in this place of again, we're talking small town Hodgenville right here. Of this is the way it is. This is the way it's always been. This is the way it's going to be. And you're
hanging
just
around the same people their whole lives,
and you're not going to change that. And it's like you say that. And so whenever you start talking about change and you start talking about, I want to do this different, we're going to do this different. And, that's just us in general. I mean, again, I've made this statement. I'll stand behind this statement 1,000%. If we were in a bigger city, our church would already be, I would say 300 to 500 people easy. We're in, again, locally here, 15,000 people countywide. And we're steeped in tradition here. And whenever you come in and you start something that has no ties to anything, you have no denominational backing or anything like that, and you come in and you say, I'm going to change the course of what church is. I'm going to change the dynamics of it. And, you say that, and then you start to do it, and people are like, well, what do you believe? And you say the Bible, and people are like, well, what are your rules? And you say, well, the Bible. And people are saying, what are you preaching? The Bible, and it's like, and people, it blows their mind so much that they can't comprehend because they're not willing to change. But yet they say that they're blessed every single day, and it's like, how? To me, if you're blessed, I think you should be able to see growth. You know what I'm saying? We talk about fruit all the time. Where's that fruit at? Where's that fruit coming from? If you're blessed, I feel like you should be producing fruit. I feel like you should be producing outcomes. I feel like, there should be growth there. And, sadly to say, man, there's a lot of situations and peoples and groups and stuff like that. It's just not producing,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many people out there that are just, they say the part, but they don't walk the part or look the part, or it's just, because it's just like, I can check a box, I can make a post on Facebook saying I was baptized, but if my life doesn't reflect the change that I have declared publicly, then it has it. Where was your heart in it?
Oh, I was going to say, man, anybody can put a show on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like you got to understand my mindset. My mindset has always been the fact of that that it's like. I want and if you've ever been around me, I'm like a, what do you call it, OCD or I may be ADHD, controlling. Yeah. So anyway, so like inside here, like I want the lights to be a certain way, I want the camera angles to be a certain way, I want the I think they call them aesthetics maybe or something like that. Like I want everything to be spot on. And honestly, like we will spend so much time, and I'm not, listen, if I'm lying, I'm dying. But I'm not the only preacher in America. I'm not the only pastor in America who's ever looked at his pews and they be kind of scarce on a Sunday morning and go, I'm going to put that camera angle right there where 86% of the church is not sitting because it looks like I'm not preaching to anybody. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just me being real. That's just me being honest. Like people, you want to, like it's I want to say more times than not, it's a show. People put on a show whenever it becomes like Facebook, Instagram, things like that. You know what I'm saying?
I've talked about that with somebody a couple times before. You know, it's just like, you know, you have these situations where, you know, maybe a pastor says something political, something that's, you know, fiery, something that's, you know, controversial, and then, you know, that clip goes viral on, you know, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And then, you know, now that pastor knows, well, okay, this is what I have to say. You know, he's developed a brand without even realizing it. You know, he's like, this is what I have to say in order to get views, in order to get people to come. But then you have to take a look at your congregation and ask yourself, what kind of people are you attracting?
Of course.
You know, are you attracting, you know, people who will start a rally after church that day, which is what's going on right now in a couple parts in America.
Yeah, right.
You know, or is it, you know, people who are truly coming because they're hungry for the Holy Spirit, because they're hungry for Jesus, they're hungry for change, they're hungry for freedom, they're hungry for victory. You know, like what kind of people are you attracting with that kind of message? You know, and we talked about that and we've hated on that, we've hammered on that over the last few weeks on our podcast, you know, about, you know, the way people are, you know, kind of attaching themselves to certain movements and, you know, just boycotting certain things just for the sake of boycotting things. And, you know, they just want to, again, you know, look on the outside that, hey, this is who I am. I'm a Christian, you know, because I do this or I do that. But again, it's the inside. God looks on the inside. That's what counts. That's what matters. And, you know, you have to ask yourself, where is your actual heart position? What are you actually trying to accomplish? What are you actually trying to get out of church service on Sunday? What are you actually trying to get out of your job on, you know, Tuesday? What are you actually trying to get out of those that Facebook or YouTube ministry or podcast ministry or whatever it is that you're doing?
Yeah.
What is it that you're actually trying to get out of that? You know, just trying to take that step back and looking inward like God does.
Yeah.
And ask yourself, you know, hey, why am I doing this?
Well, that's like my cousin posted today, just posted a little simple thing that says, you know, God sees our hearts in the things that we do. And I mean, that's true. It's 1,000% honesty right there. And the question becomes, are you doing things to impress people or please God? Mm-hmm. Which one are you doing it for? And, you know, and like, I you know, whenever people come in this place and they come in our church and sit down, I get it. Like we're in an older style building where, you know, plaster's falling off the walls and it's kind of like, it's a little old and I'm going to use a big word, dilapidated. That's a big word, right?
It's pretty big.
It's pretty big, man. I don't know what it means, but it sounded good right there. So, you know, we're fighting with the Historical Society. They got like antique stuff, 100 years old, sitting around the top part. And
Annabelle, she's up there in the top,
my gosh,
looking around.
Man, I'm pretty sure, man. Yeah, and so, you know, like, but this is what God has given us right now, and so, you know, like we tried to make it our own the best that we can, and tried to put our own quote unquote fruition touch on it, not to impress people, because I mean, if people come in and look, they're going to be like, yeah, I mean, it looks kind of like an old church with you know, with some stuff on stage. You know what I'm saying? But we want to please God in the process, and that's my thing. Like I want to please God in the process. I could care less if service goes for 30 minutes or 3 hours. That part doesn't bother me. The prayer doesn't bother me. The singing, the worship doesn't bother me. If we have donuts or not, like that all of that's good. But you know, at the end of the day, I want to leave knowing that I've pleased God, knowing that Fruition Church has pleased God, knowing that the ministry has pleased God, and that's where you know, that's where it's like we have to ask that question, because so many times, you know, it's like, how can I say this? I've never, ever got on Facebook on a Sunday afternoon after church and saw a preacher go, well, we didn't have that many people today. Service wasn't that good. Hopefully it'll be back better next week. You know, it's like I've never seen it.
Not in public, anyway.
Not in public. Like I've never seen it. Like every person, every pastor I'm friends with, every pastor I follow, doesn't matter. It's like, man, we had this move of the Holy Spirit like never before, and it was so crazy, and people were everywhere, and we're doing this. Another great day in the house of God, and the fire was there, and the Spirit was there, and everything else. And it's like, if you truly live like that, from glory to glory, from blessing to blessing, from Sunday to Sunday, that's fantastic. But I think a lot of growing and a lot of change and a lot of being able to confront and being uncomfortable is realizing that not every service is going to be great. Mm-hmm. Not every sermon's going to be great. Not every reaction to the sermon's going to be great. Not every. It's just that's life, man. And we have to get to the point of where, I think we're more real and authentic about that. We're more authentic. It's like I think Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, they have this thing called Reels. You were just saying this before, while I was an hour and a half late. Yep. You were watching Reels. And
no, I was praying, Keenan.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, super Christian, super saved.
I was up at the altar the whole time.
Oh man, I seen the tears up there.
You almost slipped on one way in.
But so you were watching Reels, and the thing about that is that Reels are quote unquote highlights or videos. And I think we've become so obsessed with people with people seeing our highlights, our highlights, our goods.
That's all social media is.
It is
a highlight reel.
Yeah, it's a highlight reel, and it's like, and so it's kind of crazy. It's like we want people to see the filtered out 37-point different ways, great shot that somebody got that day. Or we want people to see, and I've seen this. People will take a picture of themselves crying or whatever, and it's like, and then they'll post something about that, and it's like, it's at the lowest point. You know what I'm saying?
The teenage girl taking a picture of herself at the hospital.
Yeah, right. and so it's like this. So it's like that's a highlight. Well, this was the saddest point, and this is the the highest point, and it's like it's like a reel, and it's like where's the middle? Mm-hmm. Where's the middle?
It's hard because you're like, because then you start questioning everything you post. What am I doing this for?
I get it. Well, but that's the question. I think if we were to stop everything that we done and we ask, what are we doing this for? Mm-hmm. What am I doing this for? Why am I doing it for? I think if we were to begin to question things like that. I think maybe we would start getting to the bottom of situations.
I think so too. Start pulling on that thread, start asking questions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a. I think I was listening to a maybe it was a pastor or somebody yesterday talking about how you could have everything. It doesn't matter. You could drink as much as what you want to. But until you drank of Jesus, you'll never be filled. Mm-hmm. You can eat, you can just dive into food, but until you've ate the bread that is Jesus, you're going to be hungry. Mm-hmm. You can have all the money, but until you've given your life to Jesus, I tell you, it wasn't even a preacher. It was Deion Sanders. It was my dude Deion Sanders who was talking about that. He said, you could have a 15,000 square foot mansion and still not have a home to live in. Mm-hmm. You could have 5 cars but not be going anywhere. You could have shoes, 500 pairs of shoes, but you're still not walking in the right direction.
Yeah, and a lot of people out here doing the right thing for the wrong reason.
Yeah, exactly. And that was that again, man. I've heard so much stuff this week, and I know it's only Tuesday, but I heard that too. A lot of times you could be praying the right way, but being committed to being the wrong person. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I thought about that, about how it's I think a lot of people, if they would just start asking themselves the question, what is this producing in my life? What good fruit is it? The job, the relationship, the church, the whatever, what kind of fruit is it producing? Is it good? Is it bad? And, if you started asking questions like that, man, we might see some change in people.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah. And we kind of touched on that even last episode. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. But, talking about, how we're in, church services over here, and we are, what we have to ask ourselves, what are we here for? Are we going to church just to check off a box and I went to church this week, or, because it's the right thing to do, so I'll go to church, or, are you going because you're hungry, because you want more, you want to grow, you want to change, you want to move, you want to experience freedom, you want to experience healing, you want to experience blessing, you want to, you want to serve, you want to give back what God has given unto you. What are you doing this for? What are you coming to church for? What are you giving tithing for? What are you volunteering for? What are you posting those things on Facebook for? You know, all these sorts of different things, you know, that we do in a church setting or even in a professional work setting. You know, why do I come to work every day for? You know, do I do it just to get a paycheck, or do I do it because I care about what I'm doing?
Right.
You know, just asking yourself those questions is just important. You know, why am I married for? Why do I go home to my wife every day? Why do I go home to my husband every day? Why do I go home to my kids every day? You know, what do I do that for? Is it, you know, for them because I love them, because I care about them, or is it because it's just the right thing to do? It's what's expected of me. You know, like, you ask yourself those things, and, you know, you really start to pull that thread and really see where your motivation is, where your desires are, where your passions are. And you start to realize that maybe you're faker than you thought you were.
Right.
You know, maybe you're living a life, or maybe you're living a lie.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just important, I think, for us to do that, to take those inventories, you know, like, because we talk about it, you know, you see it from, you know, up there on stage every Sunday, you know, you look out and you see the people, you know, with glazed looks over their eyes sometimes, you know, half asleep, playing on their phone. You know, the worship team looks out and they see people just standing there like fish sticks. You know, and it's just like
frozen fish sticks.
Frozen fish sticks. And, you know, we see these people, you know, and we you know, people, we ask ourselves the question, you know, like, you know, why are they not reacting? You know, why are they not into this? Why are they not on fire? Why are we struggling to find volunteers?
Man,
why are we struggling to get people to do stuff?
Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Because as I swear, this is what God spoke to me, because there's people that you preach to and there's people that you pour into. And the way he spoke it to me was, and he used Jesus as an example. He said, you know, Jesus preached to the masses, no matter what, but Jesus preached to the masses. But you will find that Jesus only poured into who? The disciples and the people who engaged him. That was it. You know, not everybody in the masses left healed, delivered, set free, or filled with the Spirit. You know, that was people who engaged Jesus. And so I think, honestly, and this is like, I know you said, you know, we should ask ourselves the question of that. I'll be honest with you, as a pastor, man, you can burn yourself out and you can literally worry yourself to death over that. And to a point of where you're so jaded by people, where you're like, you know, I put in so much, and this is just me being real, where it's like, you know, you've put in so much time, effort, work, study, and everything else, and you feel it, man. Like, you know, like, I'm not here to toot my own horn or pat myself on the back, but sometimes I feel like I'll drop some knowledge on that stage. It's not Hodgenville worthy, you know. It's Atlanta, it's Dallas, it's Chicago worthy, you know. And it's like where people should be like, I feel like people should be like, oh man, that was deep, like that was real. But instead they're just sitting there looking at me like, you know, like, you know, with a corner jewel hanging out and, you know, kind of wondering about like what's for lunch, I guess. But, I've come to figure out, man, that again, it is not my job for people to apply it. You know what I'm saying? It's my job to preach it. And then the people who come to me, maybe at the altar call or after service and say, you know, hey, look, like that was deep today, man. Like, you know, can you pour into me a little bit more or whatever? You know, I've basically, I think what I've had to back up and really try to evaluate is who needs to be preached to and who needs to be poured into. And, you know, because if you pour into people, Nick, that aren't ready, you're going to waste it. And here's the thing about it. If you try to preach to people that are ready to be poured into, you're going to miss it. So you have to be, I think you have to be knowledgeable of both ends and really look and go, you know, like, oh, those people are ready. I'm going to invest. And I mean, like, that's just 1,000%, man. And that's just, I think that's any way in life. Like, you got to find the people who are ready to be invested in. And those people are the ones who show up and are ready to be poured into. I mean, that's what Jesus done. Like, and I don't think people can hold it against you, myself, preachers, pastors, leaders, teachers, whatever. You know, I don't think they can, you know, be like, oh, well, why are you so gung-ho over this one, but yeah, you won't even talk to me, or, you know, whatever the case is. And it's like, you know, I think whenever you're put in that position, you just have to look at yourself and go, you know, hey, look, like, you know, you're showing up, but like, you're not ready to be poured into yet. Like, you know, you're not asking the questions. You're not staying after. You're not, you know, you're not requested to be prayed for. You're not, you know, it's like, it's,
you're not
it's just,
coming on extra days. You're
you know,
not spending
you know,
extra time
it's
and effort.
you know, I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, you know, like when Jesus showed up to preach, man, it's like those people were gathered there ready for him to preach. And who always left with him? You know, it wasn't the crowd; it was the disciples, it was the crew. The crew always left with him, so that's who he always poured into. You know, and so that's the thing about it. It's like, you know, if you're coming into service and ducking in and ducking out, you know, you're not ready to be poured into. You're ready to be preached to, but poured into, not so much.
Yeah, and
man.
I think that's the question. You know, I mean, because I know we have a lot of fruition goers that listen to this, probably the majority of people who listen to this. But you know, and I think it's just, you know, from a standpoint of, you know, from us as leaders in the church versus, you know, people who are sitting in the pews every day who listen to our podcast, or who are sitting in a church pew somewhere else, being preached to. You know, we want to ask that question: do I want to be preached to, or do I want to be poured into?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's, you know, the question to ask yourself. You know, once you do that internal, you know, search of, you know, what am I doing this for? Why am I here? Ask yourself the question, you know, am I coming to church to get preached to, or am I coming to church to get poured into? Right. You know, and understanding that, you know, being poured into does take more time. It takes more effort. It takes more devotion, more commitment. More maturity, more sacrifice. You know, it does take more of that. But at the end of the day, again, what are you in this for? What are you doing this for? What are you coming to church for? What do you praise? You know, what are you doing all of these different things for? If not to be the best Christian that you could possibly be, because we all fail, we all mess up. Yeah. You know, and we can't let that disqualify us. You know, but it's just asking yourselves that question. You know, like, what can I do? What more can I do in order to, you know, to do the most that I can do?
Well, I mean, I think it's like in life. I mean, no matter if you're in the workplace, no matter if you are in sports or whatever, the people who hang around, you know, the people who hang around after practice, the people who hang around after work, the people who hang around after service, the people who are, you know, are just, they just want to be here. You know, they just want to be here. I went to, I got the blessing, I'll call it, to be able to watch a young gentleman grow up, and his name's J.P. Blevins, and from where I'm from, man, he was like there was like God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and then JP. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, he was, you know, for a small town, for a small community like us, man, this kid worked so hard in basketball. He worked so hard, and you know, he was in the gym before, he was in the gym after, he was in the gym, like, and he was heads and feet above the talent in Kentucky. It was amazing, you know, and he elevated everybody that was on the floor. You know, he got a scholarship to play at Kentucky full ride, went 4 years, and literally joined a private bank in North Carolina. Turned around, literally, you know, now he gives back, he gives annually $500,000 scholarship back to UK each year, helps kids in Metcalfe County, Kentucky, you know, that community, starting to give back a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort there. And all of that, Nick, is a byproduct of him putting in the time, the work, and the effort at the back of his house during the summertime of getting better at the game of basketball. You know, and it's like, if he wasn't there putting in those times, those dribbles, those shots, those opportunities, man, it's like everybody else that was on that team, he made everybody else better, but nobody spent the time that he did. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he went on to play at a collegiate D1 level, because nobody else put in the time that he did. And I think that's where it is. Like, that's where we are in life. Like, unfortunately, I wish everybody could be managers, leaders, presidents, doctors. Unfortunately, it's not like that, man. And I think the road works both ways. I don't think that the people who are leaders, pastors, teachers, bosses should look down and be like, you know, you're the scum of the earth. You're never going to amount to anything. You know, I think that's unfair. I also think it's unfair, though, that for the people who just want to do a 9 to 5 and go home, to talk trash about the people who want to make more of their life. You know what I'm saying? Oh, just look at you. You're out there brown-nosing and sucking up and doing all of this good stuff and working all this stuff, and where's it going to get you? It'll get me somewhere one day. You know, so I think the road works both ways with that. But what I'm trying to say is that, you know, if you're going to put in the time and the effort and take the opportunity, no matter what it is. I don't care. Business, sports, church, it doesn't matter. If you take the time and the effort to be poured into and to make that effort, you're going to be rewarded. Mm-hmm. You're going to be rewarded, and you're going to be used by people in a positive, productive way. I think that's what we have to understand, man, is that if we want to be used in a positive, productive way, we have to be, we've always said this at Fruition, you have to be willing, available, and obedient. You don't have to have college degrees. You don't have to look like Thor. You don't have to, you don't have to.
Thank God.
Yeah, right. You don't have to have the best voice, or you don't have to be the smartest in the room, or, you don't have to, you just have to be willing, available, and obedient. And if you're there and willing to do that, you will be used in a productive way. And so, for us, man, to I guess to circle back to the whole blessing thing, being blessed is what you make of it. And I'm a firm believer, you get out what you put in. Mm-hmm. That's just it. The more you read, the more knowledge you're going to gain, the more faith you're going to have, the more you're going to be skilled in fighting the devil, and you're going to become an asset. You're going to become an asset to the people around you, and the thing about it is, to me, the quickest way to increase your value is to be willing, available, and obedient. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just having that conversation with a younger cousin of mine yesterday at the gym, talking about his future plans, and he was kind of debating on staying in college, didn't know what he wanted to do for sure. And, and I was telling him, I said, you don't have to, go to college to be successful. I said, ultimately you want to find what success means to you, and you want to chase that.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I'll be 100% honest with you. I said, it may sound grim, it may sound, negative, as everybody tells me, but I'm like, the vast majority of people put in the very least amount of effort.
Absolutely.
The bare minimum effort. And so if you are driven and determined and motivated to stand out, it's not that hard to do.
Well, that's what I heard David Goggins say that the other day. Mm-hmm. He said, we live in such a weak society now that you can go just a little bit past bare minimum and be great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I tell people this all the time, about I know a lot of people hate the idea of working fast food, right? You're in high school. Oh, I don't want to work at McDonald's. I was like, but I had that mindset for a long time until I got a job at McDonald's and worked my way up to manager in less than a year.
Yeah.
And you're talking about 18, 19-year-old, kid with management experience already.
Yeah.
Before I even barely started college, and I'm like, I'm sitting here, already gaining experience that's going to help me out. God has already blessed me with open door opportunities. He's moved me forward in that situation so I can have better situations in the future.
Yeah.
And, and it's just important to think, because God knows, I remember a lot of employees that put in the bare minimum effort when I would, help stay late. I would help the managers. I would do the extra, go, above and beyond sometimes. And I will be 100% honest, and I will say this because it's 100% true. Sometimes going above and beyond is not going to get you recognized. It's not going to get you noticed. Mm-hmm. Just depends on the management that you have. It depends on the situation that you're in, the church that you're in, whatever it may be. But a good manager, a good leader is going to recognize that commitment, that hard work, that dedication, that drive, that motivation. They're going to recognize that, and then they're going to pour into those people.
Yeah.
And that's what a good manager does, what a good leader does, what a good preacher does, whatever it may be. They pour into those people, Lord, that have that drive, that have that passion, that have that motivation, and then they're going to take them with them as they rise. And I think it's just important for us to remember that, to have that mindset, of understanding, like, if I want to do more, I have to do more.
Right.
To do more, you have to do more. And I know that's a horrible mentality that, a lot of people in today's lazy society doesn't want to hear.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, like I said, last week, as I've said on Facebook the past few days, like, everything I have is because of God.
Yeah.
Every single breath that I breathe, every, step that I walk, every, thing that I've ever purchased, every vehicle I've ever had, every job I've ever had, everything comes from God.
Yeah.
And I've made mistakes, I've taken the wrong paths, I've done the wrong things, before, but again, I've been faithful, I have been obedient, or at least I've tried my best. I'll say that. I've tried my best to be obedient, I've tried my best to be faithful, I've tried my best to serve at my best capacity, to give what God has asked me to give. And because of that, I have many more blessings than I ever foresaw myself having.
Right.
I mean, we talked about this, I think, even last week, but, we talked about, there was times in my life when things were dark, where, Satan had me in a hold, and, I could have ended it all, and I wanted to. There's many times that I wanted to. But, again, just God has a better plan for you. God has bigger plans for you. You just have to trust him, have faith in him, be motivated, just do what you don't feel like doing. And I know that's the biggest thing, when you don't feel like going on, when you don't feel like taking another step, do it anyway. And I think it's a hard mentality to have, again, especially in today's society. But sometimes we just have to find that. And again, we don't always have that strength within us. That's why it's so important to have God, because we can find strength in God to motivate us and push us when we can no longer do anything ourselves.
Oh, I think that's what really creates the mindset of being blessed. Is like what you said. Whenever you don't feel like it, you do it anyways. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think really, you go back to that, what was it you said? An attitude of gratitude. Mm-hmm. You go back to that and you think to yourself and you say, you know what, I don't have to, I get to. I'm gonna go ahead and do this today. I was telling Andrea earlier, I said, I get to start another job venture here before too long. And I said, it's the simple fact of that, do I really, really, really in the bottom of my heart want to? Absolutely not. I would rather be on the beach, kicked up, white sand, clear water, drinking little umbrella drinks and, fishing, I guess. I don't know if that's a thing, but
I don't know how many people fish in the ocean.
Yeah, not many. Yeah. All right. Let's backtrack. Maybe play mini golf or something. I don't know. Maybe or real golf. I don't know. But, that's what I'd really like to be doing, but it's not the fact that I want to, but I get to, I get to do that. And as much as what, we cut up and carry on a lot, I know it was like, oh, it's a ministry field and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, man, I'm just going there to make money. It is a ministry, it is a connection point. It is, a place and an opportunity just to get to know people and to help network and to get, a bigger span of knowing and impacting people. And I think that's what we have to really get our minds wrapped around, is that don't shy away from it. Don't shy away from the opportunity. Don't shy away from the hard work. Don't shy away from the mindset of I can get better. I can grow. I can be challenged. I can be different. I can I can grow from this. I think we don't need to shy away from that. That that if you're one of those people out there that are continuously wanting to get better. You get better by having that mentality of I don't have to, I get to, and I think that's where it really goes to. So, any final thoughts, man? I think we've hit it pretty good tonight as far as for not having nothing to go to something, right?
That's what we're best at.
I was going to say to manifest something out of there. I think it's pretty good. But any final thoughts, man?
No, I mean, again, there's just it's been this, like I said, this thing that's just been heavy on me lately is to be more gracious and to help others understand. That it's okay to be gracious, and I think, sometimes we get worried about boasting, we get worried about showing off. Again, like we talked about kind of towards the beginning of the episode, we get worried about what people are going to think of us because we were posting this, we people think we're showboating, people think that we're showing off and boasting and all that kind of stuff. And that's where you kind of have to be careful, and you have to use your attitude of gratitude not to glorify the experience, but to enhance the experience. It's kind of what was been sitting on me is, we're looking to enhance our lives with, this attitude of gratitude. We're not trying to be boastful. We're not trying to, glorify everything I've done, everything that I've, put in and all the effort and work that I've done. We're looking to enhance people's lives by helping them understand that, once you serve, once you give, once you motivate yourself to do what God has called you to do, that there are blessings that come with that.
Yeah.
And, you already have so much to be grateful. Look, God, that's not a
gracious.
word. Gracious.
That's a new word, bro. We can
gracious
use that.
For. You always have so much to be gracious for. But, at the end of the day, we aren't doing this for more things to be gracious for. But, we do what we do because it's what we're called to do, and in our obedience, again, our blessings are a side effect of our obedience and our follow through and our trust and devotion and commitment and hard work and dedication and all these these descriptive words that I'm throwing at you. But all of that to say, because I know that's kind of a jumbled mess, but all that to say that again, I would not be where I'm at. I would not have what I have. I would not be who I am if not for God. If not for challenging challenges, if not for people putting me in situations that challenged me and grew me. I mean, there was a time that not even that long ago that I would have been terrified to do something like this, or I've been terrified to talk to a human being. Like, I mean, my social anxiety was horrible. But, again, God opened up doors, and I was able to start teaching in front of large groups of people. I was able to start public speaking way more. I was able to get that confidence, and and I've used that, and God has used that to propel me into what He wants me to do in His kingdom. And and because of that, because of my faithfulness, because of my devotion, and doing what I'm supposed to be doing and following God, He's continued to bless me. He's continued to give me what I need and always provide for me. And I think it's just important for us to not sit on our gifts, to not sit on our talents, to be challenged. It's okay to be challenging, or it's okay to be challenged. Yes, it is challenging. We don't like it. We don't enjoy it. But, it is essential for us to grow, for us to gain more wisdom, to gain more knowledge, to gain more talents and skills, to be better, to be, greater than we were yesterday. And I think that's just important for us to remember. And, if you're sitting in church, again, ask yourself that question: why am I here? What am I doing this for? Try to figure out where your posture is, where your heart is. Is your heart in this for the wrong reasons? Is it in it for the right reasons? Are you doing the right things for the wrong reasons? Asking yourself those questions, really just pulling that thread, getting to the source of the problem, figuring out where all this comes from, where you're, why is it that I go to church every Sunday and I don't feel like I get anything out of it? What's keeping me from getting that? Am I not connected enough? Am I not doing enough? Am I not serving enough? Am I not giving enough? What is keeping me from experiencing those blessings? What's keeping me from experiencing the healing or the freedom, or whatever it is that you're seeking in coming to church for? Again, ask yourself, what am I coming to church for? And then ask yourself, why am I not getting that?
Right.
What else could I be doing? Pray to God, ask for Him for guidance. What can I be doing? What do I need to do more, God? What can I, how can I serve more? How can I volunteer more? How can I give more? What do I need to do? And when God answers you, don't run away from it, embrace it. It may be challenging, it may be scary, but I promise you that there's growth, there is better, there is blessings, all of that on the other side of that challenge once you learn to, get through it and get over it and keep moving.
Absolutely, absolutely. So hopefully you can take something away from this tonight, apply it to your life, and keep moving forward, keep growing. And as always, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. Somehow, some way, Nick, how can they reach out to us really quick?
All sorts of different ways. We do have an email, fruitionchurchky@gmail.com. You can reach out with us that way. Find us on Facebook, message us that way. Keenan won't answer you, but I probably will.
True.
So you can send us a message out on there. You can, rate and review our episodes. That's always a great way to do it. Go to Google, look up Fruition Church, rate and review us there. There's a lot of different ways and avenues that you can do it. You can rate and review us on Facebook. Find our, podcast episodes that Keenan and I share, share it yourself, with your friends and family with a review on it. Say, hey, this episode was great. This is what it talked about. This is what I liked about it. All these sorts of things. There's so many different ways to reach out, to get plugged in, to share. And we're lacking in that department a lot.
Yeah.
We really, 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 really want to see more people, talk. I mean, we do this podcast. We want to see the effects of this podcast. Is it helping you grow? Is it giving you information? Is it, all this type of stuff? We want to hear more about it, because we really don't receive that much feedback other than the little numeric values on Spotify that we can see if people give us 5 or 4 stars or whatever.
Right.
So, we want to hear from you. We want to know if this podcast has done anything good for your lives. We want to know if, what we're doing is making a difference, if it's making an impact, if it's giving you information you haven't received elsewhere, whatever it may be. There's a lot of different ways to reach out to us. Like we said, we have a website, www.fruitionchurchky.org. You can go there. There's even a contact us page on there that you can fill out, and it'll send straight to our email. There's a lot of different ways to reach out to us, to talk to us, and we want you to get connected as much as possible.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to leave you with this. I was just scrolling through Facebook as Nick was giving his 27-minute closing article that he does. And I just want to leave you with this thought. A guy posted this. He said, in order to heal a wound, you have to stop touching it.
Stop picking that scab.
Deep, man. It's deep. It's spiritually deep. So we love you. We thank you so much. Again, hit that download button. Tell your friends about it. Have a blessed night, a wonderful rest of the week. We love you and thank you.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.
Thank you to everyone for listening to the People Suck But Love 'Em Anyways podcast. As always, you can check us out on Facebook at Fruition Church, YouTube at Fruition Church of Hodgenville, and check out our website at www.fruitionchurchky.org. Remember, don't suck and love people.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.